Hello, second graders. Today I want to talk to you about the powerful forces that can change the shape of our Earth. And if you remember back to the last Mystery Science that we watched, you'll know that the processes of rocks breaking down is called weathering and erosion. So today we are going to take a closer look at this idea of weathering. I like to see it, hear it, and do it. So when I say weathering, I like to make a rock, and then weathering is when rocks break down. So then my fist just breaks down. Let's try that together. Weathering, rocks breaking down. Again, weathering, rocks breaking down. Now, there are a lot of powerful ways that rocks can actually break down. The two main types are called physical weathering and chemical weathering. Today, we are only going to be talking about the physical weathering, and next week we'll talk about chemical weathering. So, for physical weathering, there are lots of different ways that rocks can be physically broken down by things like weather. That's right. So, wind is a powerful force to break down rocks. Glaciers are a powerful way that rocks can be broken down. Moving water, okay, waves, and then also living things like plants and animals, and then changes of temperatures. So today we are going to take a little guided input chart of all of those processes so you can see firsthand how physical weathering breaks down rocks. Here we go. So I want you to imagine yourself. I'll move myself over here so I can get to my tools. Imagine yourself as just kind of happily living underneath the Earth's crust. Here you are, just maybe some molten lava. And then all of a sudden, those plates come together, crash, and out spews all of that, and it cools down and makes a just beautiful mountain. And then oh, maybe you've got like a little mountain range here of all your friends as the volcanoes are forming and the earthquakes are forming new landforms. Okay, so that here you are, you're just this giant huge rock. Wow, you're gorgeous, you're amazing, nothing can go wrong, you're totally safe, right? No. The first process of weathering that I want to talk to you about is a process of glaciers. Now, this might be surprising to know, but glaciers actually are moving. They're huge, they're giant, and they're found at the top of mountains. So you've got this huge glacier on the top of most mountains in most continents except for Australia, and a glacier is a giant sheet of moving ice. And when that is applying so much pressure and it's scraping and rubbing against you, you will start to break down. And so now you have broken off from your mountain because of a glacier. So this type of weathering is glacier. We will have a chance to make glaciers in another lesson, maybe tomorrow. All right, so the next type of weathering, you've got your glacier right here, is you've broken off, but everything's fine. It's totally cool. You're still hanging out with your parent rock. Uh-oh, here comes a giant windstorm. And that wind is super, super powerful. And it blows on you for minutes, for hours, for days, for years, for decades. And all of that wind is carrying little bits of sediment, of sand, and it is as powerful as a sandblaster. And wind is another powerful way of that rock is weathered. Okay, so we've got our wind now that has broken you down even further. Okay. Whew. Are you safe yet? No, because guess what happens? A powerful force called gravity sweeps you into this melting glacier into a fast moving river. All right. Well, going to the river is really nice and really fun. No. In the river, you are getting constantly crashed against other rocks, and that is wearing you down. That is breaking you down even further. At the end of this video, you'll have a chance to do both a little bit of wind erosion in an optional activity, and you can also do make a model of how rocks tumbling in a fast moving river is going to weather them. Go down to the Willamette River and check out those river rocks. You're going to notice that they are a different shape, a different texture. They have been weathered into something smooth and round because of this powerful force of weathering, which is water, fast moving water. Water can also do chemical weathering, but for today, we'll just talk about that fast-moving water. Okay. So now you've traveled pretty far from your home. You're down here, definitely have a different view, right? And so you're totally fine. It's totally safe. But then guess who decides to start growing right next to you? That's right, a tree. So that tree is growing. You're like, wow, this is the best spot. But as that tree gets larger and larger and larger, guess what the roots are doing? Mm, digging into you, digging into you. Have you been ever walking through the sidewalk and oh, you tripped? You're like, what was that? And the sidewalk is lifted up. Well, that is the cause of weathering by living things. This plant's roots were so strong, it broke that rock apart. And so you can have little plants, or maybe you even have a little animal. Um, Humming. And did I pick? I like that one. It's pretty cute. So little chipmunk comes and is getting ready for winter and decides to start storing its nuts right next to you. Well, guess what? That animal is also causing weathering. So another type of weathering is living animals. So I'll make that one in green. So plants and animals can cause weathering. Okay. Well, now that the plants and animals have broken you down, you are totally safe, right? Everything is good. Nothing to worry about, right? You're home at the beach. No, you're not safe at all. Imagine those giant waves crashing down on you over and over and over, just like in the river, constantly pressuring, and that is going to cause you to break down even more. Okay, so waves and water are another way that rocks are broken down. All right, so let's go back um, to this slide, and I want you to think about the last one. This one is a little bit interesting. So here you are a rock. The waves have broken you down, the wind has broken you down, glaciers and plants and animals. And so here you are, you're totally safe. And then it starts to rain. And that rain gets into you had a tiny little crack right there, no big deal. Well, have you ever put a water bottle into the freezer? If you have not, I would ask you to do this right now. I want you to get a water bottle, not a soda pop can. Your parents will thank me later. Get a water bottle, wrap it into a plastic bag, and put it into the freezer overnight. I want you to notice those changes. What happened? Well, if you've ever done this before, you know something really interesting happens with water when it freezes. So a little bit of water got in there and made that crack a little bit bigger. No big deal. Well, guess what? more water gets in there and it freezes again and your crack gets bigger. And then the next night it rains again, the temperature changes, it expands, and now your crack is getting bigger and bigger. So, another way of physical weathering is a change in temperature. That can do a lot of damage. So, to review, you are now an expert on physical weathering. You know that wind, glaciers, moving water, changing temperature, and plants and animals can all cause weathering, which is I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want some more hands-on experiences, there are some activities that you can choose to do if you'd like to. Happy exploring geologists.